Welcome back to Terpy. We're back with another weekly update video in the grow tent room. In this video, we're going to cover transplanting both the Stomped Berries and the Platinum Pavé into larger pots. Also, we're going to talk about the second pack of Stomped Berry seeds that we started because we kind of ran out of room in the 4x4. So we're going to have to start up another tent, making it 4 grow tents in this space. We're also going to top both the Platinum Pavé and the Stomped Berries after a few days of letting them recover after the transplant. Let's start off by checking out the 2x4 grow tent from vivosun, where we have the two 100-watt AeroZesh lights in here. We got the Pulse Pro collecting all the environmental data there. We got a 6-inch clip fan right here blown directly onto the seedlings. And we have a 4-inch carbon air filter with the 4-inch inline fan. We're growing the Permanent Chimera here. As you can see, they're very healthy. We're on day 12 from seed. We do have slight tip burn right here on the tips of a couple of the leaves. That is from letting the growing medium dry out a little bit too much between waterings, but overall they're doing very well. Pretty close to the healthiest seedlings that I've grown so far. If you follow along with the channel, you know the seedling stage is the toughest part for me as I'm pretty busy, and I do let these small pots dry out too much between waterings just because I don't get back in time. But now that I'm doing this full time, it seems to be working in my favor, where I have the healthiest starts that I've ever had so far. As you can see from the one pack of seeds that we did start, we have a little bit small one here. We had one that didn't pop out of the growing medium, and then the one back there is just a mutant slash runt. It's very weak, so we're not going to be growing that one. And then there's this small one right here too. But the rest of them are doing great. We're going to have 9 plants in here in this 2x4, which is a very tight space, but I'm sure it's going to do well. We're going to take some clones to make this a pheno hunt, and we are going to find the best keeper in here. A couple of these grow tents will have too many plants for the space. It's going to be jam-packed in here, but given my situation, I want the most seeds started, so I picked the best phenos out of these seeds that I started with. Even though it's not the best situation, having so many plants packed in a small space, it's the best for me to be able to choose from a larger variety. We'll check out the grow hub here from vivosun. These are the growing conditions that we have going on right now. The lights did just turn on at 6 p.m. As you can see, it's 6:22 right now. So the room is warming up a little bit. It's at 76 degrees Fahrenheit currently at 41% relative humidity. That is a little cooler and lower relative humidity than I would like to see for the seedling stage, as we are targeting 1.0 VPD for a seedling stage. And we'll raise that VPD rating up higher as we continue through the grow up until like 1.8 in late flower. We're going to check out the PPFD, the light rating at the seedling stage, just so you guys can see that. That's one thing that I didn't cover much in my previous videos, so I think this will be very important for you guys to see what power levels at which stages. So right at the top of the canopy, we can see 330 PPFD, and that's not directly under the light, that's off to the side, which we do have 2 100-watt lights here kind of overlapping, so the light intensity is pretty even across the entire space. We'll check over here also. 340, so pretty much the exact same. We'll even check over here in the corner where there's only reflection off the wall. All the way at the side, 160 PPFD. That's because the tent door always remains open. So if we do check all the way back here, right beside the wall, as you can see, 300. We'll check the corner, all the way in the corner, 200 PPFD. It gives you guys somewhat of a idea of what the coverage of PPFD across this entire space. As the plants do get bigger, we will up the power rating on these lights. Right now it's in the seedling stage and about 60% power. We will switch the color intensity to veg and then flower as we go through the different stages of this grow. Like I mentioned in the previous video, I did start the Stomped Berries prematurely when I was a little impatient with unpH'd water or no nutrients in them, and those plants were slightly stunted, as we can see later on in this video when we check out both the Stomped Berries and the Platinum Pavé, where the comparisons, where they started about 3 days gap between the two. And there is noticeable difference, as the Platinum Pavé wasn't affected as much as the Stomped Berries. Even more so, this Permanent Chimera has been affected not at all, because it had started with pH water and nutrients right from the beginning. And the growth of these plants are phenomenal. They did get a little stretched out because I did have the power level a little lower at the beginning, just because I wasn't sure about these lights on how intense they would be. Even though the PPFD reading was at 190 PPFD, which was kind of low for my starts, but I want to see how they got affected first before I up the power on the lights. If you guys are growing Permanent Chimera, let me know in the comments below. Maybe we can compare and see what works for you, or what's the best outcome overall. I know it is a new strain, so not many people got the seeds yet, but let's see how that turns out. I'm pretty excited to see the results from this one. Okay, so just want to take a look at the Pulse Pro environmental monitors in the grow tent space. And before we jump into the weekly interactive chart that I will be posting in the video description below, I want to take a look at the current conditions inside the space across the entire room. As you can see, the 5 first Pulse Pros that I have connected here are in the grow tent room. Each one is labeled as its location, and we can see that the temperature is within 1 degree Fahrenheit across the entire room, and the relative humidity is about within 2% relative humidity, which is very even across the entire space. Our VPD is between a 0.8 and 1.0, which is great for the seedling / early veg stage. I'm very happy with that. As we talked about in the previous week's video, we do have quite a big swing in relative humidity over the time that the AC is on or off, which isn't a big deal. The plants seem to be doing very well at these stages so far. In CO2, we will have to add CO2 supplementation into the space once we get into the flower stage, but currently we have anywhere between 417 ppm all the way up to 600 ppm. Now that might be the differences in the sensors, so I can calibrate them to be more precise, but we're just going to leave it the way it is. So here we have the weekly chart for the right side grow tent, which is the Platinum Pavé. I'll be putting this link in the video description so you can interact with this chart specifically yourself if you want to go into more detail. As you can see, the light schedule here on the lower levels is when we had these seedlings still in the starter pots. Then once we removed the table and transplanted them into the bigger pots, I turned up the power on the light, which brought the power level up, obviously. And you can see how that changed the temperature up here from the AC going on and off. AC ended up going on more frequently now that the temperature or the light power has been turned up, which is okay to see. It hasn't changed the environment very much, as it does stay within a degree or 2 of Fahrenheit, which I'm very happy about. This day I did turn up the AC 1 degree Celsius to see how it would affect the room, because I was seeing it getting a little bit too cold during lights off, which I don't know if it was the effect of the AC or specifically that day being not so hot outside in the regular outside temperatures. So I just made a change there. I didn't really like how hot it was getting during the lights on period, so I brought it back down to the regular, and as you can see, it just stayed standard for the rest of the days going forward. And anyways, I just want to jump on here quickly, show you guys about the Pulse products, and if you want to get yourself a Pulse Pro or even a Hub, which you see down here with the sensors, be sure to check out Pulse's website. You can use the discount code on all the Pulse products that they offer. Unfortunately, not on the water content sensors or the other brands that they offer on their website, but overall, great products to have in your grow space and incorporate amazing data. Let's jump back into the video. Okay, so we're done transplanting the Stomped Berries. As you can see, they are in, I believe these are 3.5 gallons. The mathematics on these bags are 4.5 gallons, but because I'm not filling them all the way to the top, I believe that it's 3.5 gallons overall. These plants are on day 24 currently. They are a little small for day 24, but they are overall pretty healthy. They could use a watering. As you can see, these are drooping a little bit. So I'm gonna give them 2 liters of nutrient mix and watering right after this clip, and they should spring back up. As you can see, these ones are slightly praying, so overall they just need a little watering. As you can see, we're down to only 8 plants in here, which is going to be the final number for this tent. We are going to remove these seedlings. These are Stomped Berries also, I think around day 4 or 5, but I'll confirm that later on in the video after we talk about where these are going next. We're going to move this plant over a little bit, this one over a bit, so we'll have 8 in here, which is a great number in here. I do like 9 plants per 4x4 tent. A lot of people say 9 plants is too much. Personally, I feel that's the best square footage for each plant, but really it's up to you guys what works best. We do have the foldable vivosun 650 watt light up here with this 6-inch carbon air filter and 6-inch inline fan. We aren't running the ventilation up there yet. We do have a 6-inch oscillating fan here and a 6-inch oscillating fan over here. These are both from vivosun. I keep getting questions on where to get these. Check out vivosun's website. You can use the discount code Terpy for any vivosun products. So be sure to check them out after the video. We do have the Pulse Pro over here to collect environmental data inside the grow tent. Pretty much the environmental conditions will be the same for all these grow tents currently, or give or take 1 or 2 degrees or percentages on the temperature or relative humidity, only because I'm keeping these doors open currently. All the doors on the tents are still open just like last video because of running the AC system to keep them all cool. There's no reason to have the ventilation systems on currently. It is starting to smell in here from the plant, so maybe in a couple days I'll turn on the ventilation systems and shut the doors. So we'll really start to see the changes per grow tent, and we'll go into those environmental changes later on. Before we jump into the Platinum Pavé tent and starting to top the Stomped Berries and Platinum Pavé, I want to talk about where these seedlings are going to go. They are, I think we're going to have 10 seedlings of the Stomped Berries. So total we'll have 18 Stomped Berries phenos from seed to choose a keeper from. So since we don't have any space for these plants in this 4x4 anymore, we're going to take them and move them over to here, which is our dry tent slash seedling and clone tent. Currently it's not being utilized because we don't have clones, and we won't be using it until we take clones of all of our plants. So I decided what better way to put this tent to use. I already have one 200 watt AeroZesh light, which is the same model as these lights, but these are 100 watt models. So I asked vivosun to send me a second light of this. So we're gonna see the difference between 2 200 watt lights in here. So we'll have one there, one here. So we'll have 400 watts total covering the space. We still have the 4-inch carbon air filter and 4-inch inline fan. We have a clip fan up there and a clip fan down here. So very similar setup to this one. It's just instead of 200 watts here, we're gonna have 400 watts over here. So in the next video, we'll cover that change for this one. We'll get those Stomped Berry seedlings moved over here and transplanted into bigger pots. It is gonna be quite packed in here with 10 seedlings, but again, we're gonna see exactly how that is determined later on come harvest time. Before we jump into the next grow tent, checking out the Platinum Pavé, I just wanted to jump in here and show you PPFD in this grow tent. Since we do have 2 stages of plants in here, we have the seedlings around day 5, and then we have the larger plants at day 25. So to keep them both happy, the seedlings are a bit lower than the larger ones. So we'll check out the PPFD right in the center. As you can see, it's around 330, 340 right in the center of the tent. Off to the side at the tops of the seeds around 300. Over here, sorry, the angle's a little bad, 310, 320. And then at the seedling stage, we can see a little bit lower, 250, which is perfect for this stage of growth, I feel. They're not stressed out, they're happy, they're healthy overall. So this tent, around 340 ppfd, about the same over here. And then on these smaller seedlings, around 250. Those will be bumped up once we transplant them into larger pots. So let's jump over to the Platinum Pavé. And we have the Platinum Pavé here. We're down to 9 seedlings, as you can see. Same size pots as we have over in the Stomped Berries tent, which is around 3.5 gallons. These are 8 by 8 by 16. We do have one plant here that's not doing so great. One thing about in the transplanting of these plants, they were super dried out, almost wilting. So it wasn't the greatest conditions and I was very rough on them, but it has been a few days since the transplant and they have turned out quite well. This one obviously isn't looking so hot, but we've seen on the channel plants in a lot worse condition at this stage of growth and they have turned out to be amazing plants by harvest time. So I'm not worried about that one too much. 9 plants, as you can see, is the perfect amount in a 4x4 tent. We have the 650 watt vivosun light up here. This is this version that you have to assemble. So a little different than the foldable that comes assembled, but it is pretty much on the same power level as this one over here. We have the 2 clip fans. Obviously the green one over there, a white one here. We have a green one there and a black one over here. All of them are vivosun oscillating fans. You can find them on their website. The center one is looking great. All of them are looking pretty good. They're almost ready to be topped. These ones are at day 21, I believe now, which is the perfect time to top your plants at. Before we jump into topping both the Platinum Pavé and the Stomped Berries, I just want to show you guys the ppfd difference from this grow tent to the Stomped Berries. Pretty much the same power level lights, and both are 650 watt lights. So we'll see what the ppfd rating is on each one. So right here in the center, 310 pretty much. Off to the side, 280. Over here, 280. Out at the front where there's no reflection from the door being open, 240. You can check all the way at the back where you do get the reflection from the wall. Sorry. 200, 300, right there. So a little bit different than the Stomped Berries tent. As you can see, the light is maybe an inch or two higher, so maybe that's the reason for the difference in ppfd. Maybe I'll lower this light after this clip so we can get them both actually at the same level. I didn't realize that they were slightly different heights. So maybe that's the reason for the lower ppfd over here. So let's jump into topping these plants now. Okay, let's see if I can do this one-handed for you guys so you can get a little bit more detail than what I've shown in the past about topping. So pretty much, I'm gonna do as best as I can with one hand. Push the 2 branches down so you can expose the smaller growth in the center. Instead of pinching the smaller growth right there, I like to bend it over. If you have 2 hands, it's a lot easier. We're gonna see if I can do this one-handed or not, and looking through the camera. So bend it over, should just snap like that. Then you can pick it up. There it goes. There you go. That's a solid topping right there. That's just how I like it to do it. So you can see that I've already pinched off 1 set of nodes right there, 1 branch there. So you have 2nd set, 3rd set there. Sorry, third, fourth, and then that's the fifth set. And then the middle growth is where I top my plants. So we'll jump into topping the rest of these platinum pavés now. So we got them all topped now. We'll just show in detail. Each one has been pinched off, or I guess I should say folded over instead of pinching. I feel that's a better, cleaner way of topping than pinching. Because sometimes you pinch and then your fingers are a little bit too big and it takes off too much material, which might damage the plant a little bit more. So with the platinum pave tent done, we'll jump over to the Stomped Berries. We'll just throw it on the time lapse. Don't really need to show the process over again. Well, that's pretty much it for this week's update in the grow tent space. As a thank you for making it to the end of the video, I'm going to end out this video with a little B-roll from the larger rooms of the commercial space. So until next time, happy growing everyone, and remember to get out there and make it happen.